Good afternoon. You're listening to Fresh Start Today. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Jermaine Reed, and we're going to be talking about the impact of the arts on children, on child development, and particularly looking at ways that parents can help identify and build their children's talents and their gifts. And we are delighted to have a special guest who's going to be on the program today, Mr. Ronald Isley. No, sorry, not Ronald Isley. He's not going to be in. It's going to be Mr. Ernie Isley from the legendary Isley Brothers. He will be joining us in about 10 minutes. And then we also have Andre Lee Ellis, who will be coming in, who's a local playwright. And so we're going to enjoy this conversation. If you would like to tune in from 3:30 to until 4 o'clock, you can call 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. We're going to begin our show while we're waiting for Mr. Isley to give us a call. We're going to begin our show with talking about some of the announcements. January is National Blood Donor Month. The 31st annual Dr. King's birthday celebration is coming up. The only cities that have celebrated Dr. King's birthday annually since 1984 are Atlanta, Georgia, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Always take place in the month of January. This event focuses on keeping the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. alive. The Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday celebration programming highlights the youth in our community who every year interpret Dr. King's words through an art, speech, and writing contest. So this will be something that's really very positive that our youth can get engaged in. And there's also a variety of cultural arts organizations that take center stage in the Uline Hall that demonstrate the excellence of our arts community. And so be sure to call the library and see what they're going to be offering. There is a free event at Uline Hall, January 18, 2015 at 1 o'clock p.m., and it is wheelchair accessible. Then on Tuesday, January 27, 2015, from 6 p.m. until 7 p.m., there will be a training hosted at Fresh Start Family Services entitled Trauma and Its Impact on Child Development. The presenter is Dr. Earl Bracey. Then we also want to give you a reminder. A couple weeks ago, we had announced that there's a young lady in our community that's been missing for a couple of weeks, Stephanie Miles. And if you have seen her or if you've known her, you can actually log on to the internet and type in her name, Stephanie Miles, and you'll see a picture of her. And if you've seen her, you can either call the local police department or 414-333-8484. That's 414-333-8484. We're going to go to a quick commercial, and then when we come back, we will begin our conversation. And listen, we'll be giving away 2 tickets to this private event that the Isley Brothers will be at this weekend on January the 17th. To caller number 10 today, there'll be 2 tickets to a private event benefit concert that the Isley Brothers will be performing at. So we'll be back right after this break. Good afternoon. You're listening to Fresh Start Today. I'm your host, Jermaine Reed. I have in the studio with me Andre Ellis. Andre, he's deeply involved in the theater community. So how long have you been involved in theater, Mr. Ellis?
Oh, wow. Well, in Milwaukee, a lot of years, a long time, longer than I think about. Now that when you ask me that question, it's definitely over 27 years, 30 years. Andre Lee Ellis and Company, 20-something years, and prior to that, got my start with the Hansberry Sands Theater Company. I was an adult, though, when I started theater. Prior to that, I sang in church choirs with a few bands, things like that.
Okay. So you said about 30 years, and so what are some of the forms of art that you have been involved in? I know there's theater, but are there some other forms of art that you have been involved in?
Well, being involved in theater, I've watched dance.
Okay.
I've seen dance. I very much have seen visual art. I know a lot of visual artists, painters, and people that draw. Other forms of art is martial arts.
Yeah, but what type of arts have you been involved in? Different forms of art that you have been involved
mainly
in?
just theater for me.
Mainly theater for you?
Mainly
okay.
acting.
So you've written some really good plays. I mean, some really good plays over the years. What are some of those plays that you have written?
That's so kind of you to say that. Those plays that only Milwaukeeans know about.
Oh, okay. So there's some other national plays that you've written?
No. No.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, maybe that's forthcoming. So what are some of the
Shown Up Gospel
Shown Up
Music
Gospel? That was about, what, 5 years ago?
It's been a while since we produced it, but
yeah.
there was a while that we did it every year.
Okay.
We'd like to do that again, and telling it like it is as a play. But more importantly for me is how theater saved my life as a younger person. Reading, how theater made me get involved in reading and want to educate myself. When I found theater, I found my culture, and it changed the whole thought of.
Now, you said you found that when you were a young child?
I was a young child in my mind.
In your mind.
And I knew I wanted to perform. So I started singing in the church choir, and people would tell you, even as a kid, I was quite theatrical. Even just singing in church, I would go there, even before the song could start.
well, and we're going to get a little bit into that piece about the influence of the church in helping to develop a lot of talent, and particularly young talent. So we're going to talk about the influence of the church, the impact of the church, and how the church can be a resource. So you've written a number of plays, Showing Up Gospel and Telling It Like It Is. And how many young people have you had involved in your theatrical productions? Have you worked with a lot of young people?
We haven't worked with a lot of young people per se for that, but I worked with a lot of people when they were younger. So, I mean, hundreds, 50s, hundreds.
Right, and maybe not in that particular production, but I mean in your...
Overall.
Yeah. So you have worked with hundreds of youth. And where are your youth coming from? And how does your youth get involved with... If there's parents that's listening and they want to get their kids involved in theater, there's a young person that's listening and they say, you know what, I like to sing, I like to dance, I like to act. I have very strong oratorical skills, very animated, dramatic. What's the way they can get involved in theater?
Well, I'm going to start there because this is something that we want to introduce this coming summer in the garden as part of the garden project. We definitely want to bring theater in the hood, where we want to use the garden as a stage, a place to perform and present performance. And we're going to use the young people in the community that want to be a part of it to put together their own production. And we'll use the outdoors as the scenery and show them how the things outside can be a part of your set, part of your costuming. So excited about that. So this will be a good chance for them to contact. I've got a phone number that they can call me at if anybody is interested. And that number is 414-779-2476. I didn't know I was going to be recruiting.
So I mean, I guess that's what it's all about, getting our kids involved in very positive activities. So we need to make sure that we can provide that information to the community. I'm sure there's a lot of parents that saying, what am I going to do with my kids, during the summertime? So joining this project, and you call it the garden. So for those of us who are not familiar with the garden, what is the garden?
Well, on 9th and Ring, on the block where I live, okay. I am the change that needs to be on the block where I live. I'm helping to make the changes that the people need to see. So on 9th and Ring is a very magical spot. There's a garden there that last year something incredible happened for us where we did some work with the young men in the neighborhood, and then we just have decided to move on and do some other things as part of that project when it comes around again that could include all of the young people, and theater could be that tool.
Okay. And so this garden, so for parents who are living in that zip code, is it restricted just to individuals who are living in?
It's not.
Okay,
no,
so
it's not. It's for people that want to, and people that act right, and people that love, and for mainly black people. But then other people that love black people. It's going to be about black stuff for me.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
It's gonna be real black. Everybody know that.
Okay, but if there if there's non-African American children who are living in this zip code in this community, can they become connected?
Happens
And
all
what
the
is
time.
the university like?
I'm so connected to the world.
You are?
Yeah.
All right. So this is Andre Lee Ellis. He is from Andre Lee Ellis and Company.
It is.
A theater pioneer in our community, and so we're pleasure to have him on the show today. So we're going to take a break, a real quick break, and we're going to come back. And I think my guest is here. I'm not sure. I'm trying to find out. That's not him. But we're still waiting for Mr. Isley to give us a call. Is there a caller on the line? Caller, how can I help you?
This is Ernie Isley.
Ernie Isley, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Jermaine. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. And I apologize. I didn't know if this was you on the line. I thought this was another important listener. But thank you for calling. We just want to get a little history about your career. You're one of the best guitarists that I think that we have ever known. And so I want to just kind of talk about your amazing career. How long have you been in the entertainment industry?
Well, being an Isley brother, you should have inadvertently get there by birth.
By birth? so
No, I mean, our parents, our mother and father had this idea. My father was in the show business. Our father was in show business before we met and married our mother. And before they got married, they hit it off so well. He thought, wouldn't it be great if, we had a family and they were all boys, and they might sort of pick up where the Mills Brothers, which at the time, the Mills Brothers were like one of the most outstanding performance singing groups in the country. But we thought that would be a wonderful thing to do, and by grace, their prayers were answered. And
wow.
I'm of the 6 sons, I'm brother number 5. Brother number 6 is Marvin.
Marvin, okay. I don't know why I was thinking that you were the younger, but that's right. Marvin is the youngest. And you all have made some amazing music over the years. You just have a category, what you call it, a library, a catalog of hits. And you are not just a guitarist, but you also are a songwriter, a drummer, and so of those 3, what is it that you like to do the most?
I'd say the songwriting aspect, because it allows, expression. So, personal expression. So, if I could say something like, wish I could sing you the song I sang once, proud girl. If you could deal with it, baby, I would sing it all now. I just was sorry I didn't do that when I was 14.
You did this song when you were 14?
Yeah, I wish I had.
Oh, you wish you had? Okay.
Yeah, I wish I had, but that brown-eyed girl, Fight the Power, Harvest of the World.
Well, let me say, I'm only 40.
Footsteps in the Dark.
So you're going way back. I'm only 40, so I think maybe perhaps those might have been some songs I was conceived on or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
but
well, I did the first and third verse of For the Love of You.
Oh, did you? We were just listening to that.
Yeah, and I did Make Me Say It Again, Girl.
Okay. When did you start writing?
At Your Best You Are Love.
At the Best You Are Love. That probably started, as far as the Isley Brothers are concerned, one of the first songs I did was the first 2 verses of That Lady. Okay.
Chris did the 3rd verse. But that was around 2021 in college.
2021, okay. But you have been raised in music. Music is in your blood. That was the culture, the environment in your home, and your father had prayed for sons to start a group like the Mills Brothers, and your mother was a pianist in the church. So really, that parental influence really kind of guided your career in a sense.
Yes, that's the starting point, and that was the overall compass direction that they wanted us to follow. The first public performances by the Isley Brothers were in church.
We're in church, gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! And where was that at? Where did you all grow up?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay, Midwest.
Yes.
And so when we look at parents' influence, and that's what we're talking about on this show today, Fresh Start Today, is about how parents can identify and develop the talents and gifts that their children have. I mean, I personally believe that every child has unique talents and abilities. And so when you think about Sam Cooke, his father, Reverend Cooke, Joseph Jackson and Jackson 5, and Sissy Houston with Whitney Houston, you know, C.L. Franklin and Aretha Franklin, how these parents were able to be in tune with their children and help identify and cultivate talents. And it sounds like that's the same experience that you and your brothers had with your parents.
Yes, it is.
Pretty
much.
That's remarkable. Now, the next question I have for you is that, you know, the church obviously played a very key role in being a nurturing environment for yours and your brother's talents, as well as those other entertainers that I just talked about. So are there other things that parents can do that you can think of that can help them identify and develop those talents in their kids?
Well, you know, I would think, depending upon the situation, a parent will, in some ways, be able to pick up on that for themselves, because, you know, maybe LeBron James isn't going to sing.
Right.
He's going to do something else. Maybe Venus and Serena Williams are not going to dance.
Right.
They're going to do something else.
Right.
So, you know, the idea of having a gift or having a talent is something that is discovered, and then you can encourage it as a parent. It can be nurtured.
It can be nurtured.
And and supported. And I think for other situations where, you know, that manifests, obviously, the support system that the kids have can have a very strong influence. I mean, Tiger Woods is not a musician.
Right.
but
they have involved parents. You know,
yeah.
I mean, Beyonce and her sisters, you know, parents are, it sounds like they're very critical in helping their children, because all of these parents, including yours, gave you all a tool. They gave you something to build an amazing life with.
Yes.
And I don't think that it had anything to do with being rich or being black or being poor, just being parents who are involved and in tune.
Yes.
Wow, that's
true.
That's amazing. Now, how long have you all been singing? Has it been, what, 50, 60, how long? I don't want to say 70
years. Well, the Isley Brothers are the only group that has charted in, only group, only artist, black, white, male, female, that has charted in every decade since the 50s. The first national breakthrough song for the Isley Brothers was the anthem, you know, rock and roll. Well, you know, you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands back. And everybody knows that song.
Everybody.
Everybody. It's a party anthem. It's at birthdays, weddings, bar mitzvahs, football games, basketball games. That song is everywhere.
Wow.
And it's virtually been done here by everyone. That was the first national breakthrough record for the Isleys. That's in 1959. Of course, later on, there's Twist and Shout in the 60s.
Okay.
Which was covered by Beatles. This Old Heart of Mine, It's Your Thing was 69. Stuff like I'm taking care of business. Woman, can't you see? Work to Do, 1972.
Oh,
Who's That Lady was 73. Fight the Power, 75.
That was a big hit for you. Fight the
Yeah.
Power. Wow.
Yeah, Harvest for the World. I'm skipping around. Between the Sheets is 1983. We got into the 90s with
Hello?
Mission to Please, and working with R. Kelly by way of Contagious.
Okay. Okay.
Was in the Millennium, and we've been. That's like unheard of, but it's true. I imagine if it was a Hollywood script that somebody made up, they would show you the door.
Right.
It would be very hard to believe, but it is true.
But
and our music has, it is because of that longevity, migration, also has, influenced all of the sorts of genres. Like, I love it when you call it Big Pop in Biggie Smalls, and Today Was a Good Day, and Aaliyah doing At Your Best You Are Love, and I Love Myself.
Oh, wow. Wow,
So we're all over the place.
You have influenced a new generation of artists, entertainers. But you all have the amazing ability to infuse R&B, funk, rock and roll, gospel. And I think that's another thing that sets you all apart. And probably why you all were the Lifetime Achievement recipients for the Grammys in 2014, I believe, right?
Yeah, just last January.
Well,
yes.
Congratulations, because it's an honor well deserved. But you're right. A lot of artists were influenced by the Isley Brothers, Marvin Gaye, Reverend Al Green, as you indicated, Biggie Smalls, and Dr. Dre. They all borrowed something from you. You have definitely left your footprints on the sands of time, and so we all are appreciative of that. Next question I have for you is that you play now, what is it called, a Stratocaster?
Yeah.
So there are different types of guitars. Have you played them all, or you just pretty much the electric guitar is what you do?
Well, I do play acoustic guitars too, 6 and 12 string.
Okay.
And electric guitar. I'm the bass player on the record. It's Your Thing.
Okay. Okay. So now everybody's not gifted to have a brother like Ron Isley, and the other Isley brothers that you have, and I think I read somewhere that Ron Isley gave you a blank check one day when you were 16 or something like that, and told you to go out and buy a Stratocaster.
Yeah, all of the brothers, Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly Isley Jr., Rudolph Bernard Isley, Ronald, Ernie Isley, myself, and Marvin. All of it, this stuff is, anybody that has brothers, they know that link is permanent.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that, all of the brothers figured in my guitar situation. Rudolph, for example, got me my very first one.
Okay.
And Ronald got me, he gave me a blank check to go get a Stratocaster when I was 19.
When you were 19, okay.
When I was 19. And Kelly gave me 4 $100 bills to go get an acoustic guitar when I was 22. So they've all
contributed,
been part of the support system. And, it's that thing about blood being thicker than water and brothers and all that. I mean, I've had conversations with, say, Marlon Jackson with the Jackson family. And it's like I'm talking to one of my brothers. And there's an understanding that's been. So that, it's been quite an experience and
so
remarkable, really.
And I appreciate you sharing that about that contribution, that sense of brotherhood that you all have, and that has carried you all through a lot of ups and downs. And but like you said, it's eternal, it's lasting.
Yes.
And I appreciate you sharing that. Let me ask you something else, because these brothers may have contributed not just with instruments, but it sounds like on an emotional level as well. But they may have contributed to giving you instruments, but what did you have to do to develop your talent? Because they may write a blank check, but they just, did you become part of the Isley Brothers because you were the Isley Brother, or because you were able to prove that you were an asset to the group?
Well, for myself personally, my first instrument was drums.
Okay.
And I started playing drums when I was 12 years old. And I played my first live gig behind my older brothers when I was 14 in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And Martha and the Vandellas didn't have a drummer that night, so I played behind them too. That was really cool.
Oh, wow.
And then when I was 16, just said I played bass. Turned out played bass on the record. It's Your Thing. So I was, speaking personally for myself, I was like trying other instruments. Guitar was like the last instrument that I went to.
Okay.
Of all of them. But obviously I sort of liked it.
We're glad you liked it. Who are some of the guitar players that you like to listen to?
Oh, well, to begin with, I don't listen to guitar players per se.
Okay.
I listen to the song.
Okay.
But, that being said, I got my first guitar because I liked the way Jose Feliciano did Light My Fire.
Oh.
And the guitar player that played on the record It's Your Thing, his name is Charles Pitts. Skip, his nickname. He also played the wah-wah guitar on Isaac Hayes' Shaft.
Okay.
And there was a left-handed guitar player in our household, an employee from like March of '63 to November of '65, Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, the person.
The person.
And they got him his first Stratocaster, actually.
Oh, wow.
His very first one. And his very first recording session
So
was with the Isley Brothers.
So you all grew up, and so he played with the Isley Brothers, and he's older than you, or he was older than you, right?
He's 10 years my senior.
He's 10 years.
So when I was 11 years old, he was 21.
Did he influence you in any kind of way with developing or honing your skills? Do you see any similarities between the way Jimmy played and the way you play, or is there any differences or similarities that you can think of?
Certainly similarities. He was playing before I was.
Okay.
And whenever I think about him as a person, I'll always be 11 years old.
Okay.
Marveling at the way this particular musician played a guitar that I had never heard anybody. To that point, I've never heard anybody play the instrument like that. And the fact that he was left-handed just made it that much more cool.
Okay. Wow.
And nobody has a crystal ball.
Yes.
So that when the Beatles performed in February of 1964 on Ed Sullivan, and Jimmy's sitting on the couch, and I'm sitting on one side of Jimmy, and my younger brother Marvin is sitting on the opposite side, and when Ed Sullivan said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles," there was no clap of thunder that I heard over our roof. We did not know. Marvin and I were not musicians at the time at all.
Okay.
And we did not know, who could know,
Right.
that the person sitting on the couch, Jimi Hendrix, was going to expand the boundaries, the sonic boundaries of the electric guitar as an instrument.
Okay.
And that, in a way, is kind of a way to describe his contribution. He expanded the boundaries of the way the electric guitar could sound, along with being able to play very well. So had he been around when Who's That Lady came out, he probably would have given me something between a bear hug and a tackle. And say, how in the world did you learn how to do that? I mean, man, because I was in the dining room listening to you.
So,
I had
so
my social studies book, but I wasn't doing social studies.
wow. So when I'm listening. So when I'm listening to you kind of recount your experience with Jimi Hendrix, and I'm thinking from a parental standpoint, you said that he lived in your home, so it sounds as if it's important for parents to place.
Now that we are coming back, I'm looking forward to it. I think probably, like, we haven't been there maybe in about a couple of years, maybe.
Okay.
But it's always fun when we come.
Okay.
And, we're looking forward to coming in to do the show.
If you can give one last word of advice to young people who are listening to the program today about what they need to do if they desire to be famous or successful in entertainment, education, or sports, what are the two things that you would tell them they need to do?
Oh, you need to focus. You need to focus on and have a goal or goals as to what they want to accomplish. You can focus on that and concentrate, because speaking from my own personal experience, there was a lot of things as I was coming of age that I wanted to do that maybe I didn't do.
Okay.
For example, being able to go to the parties, being a popular person. I wasn't necessarily that, and I had friends. But, there were other people that were, at that time, say like between the ages of, 12 and 18, that, may have had more of a fun time, I guess,
Okay.
in looking back than I did. But what I was doing was, I was concentrating on music, and I was concentrating on learning how to play. So that when the time came, it turns out I was ready, because I had practice and I had put in the time.
Wow.
And then after that, I'd be standing on, we come out with 3+3, and I'm the hot shot guitar player, playing the song "Who's That Lady," and I hear some female voice say, "Hi, Ernie," and I'm like, "Are you talking? Are you talking to me?" I mean, that didn't happen. Well, it did happen in Philadelphia when I was 14, because after playing between shows, my brother Keller gave me $50 for a hot dog. So go get something to eat. So I'm floating downstairs, and I go through the backstage doors with my stage stuff on. And when the doors open, all these girls my age scream at me like I'm Justin Bieber. And I'm like, man, I need to move to Philly, because I don't have this kind of action at 14 in my school.
Gotcha.
The girls that I'm with. So if there was ever anything that encouraged me, certainly it was going to Philadelphia at 14 and playing behind my brothers, playing, behind Martha and the Vandellas, dancing in the street, Heat Wave and all of that stuff. It was indelible time. But I would say for the kids now, focus, concentrate on what you're trying to do. You might be the next, Serena or Venus Williams or Tiger Woods or I don't know, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Beyonce. There's all sorts of things you can do. Talent. I mean, you might come up with a cure for diabetes.
Yes.
Or cancer. I mean, you might be President of the United States of America. There was a time that was like for the African American to be president.
Right.
Wow. So obviously it can be done. There's all sorts of things. And when you have youth on your side, there's all sorts of things that a young person can apply him or herself to and actually succeed. It's been proven. There's been people already in front of you that have done that. Nat King Cole's father was in the church too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And and his little girl, Natalie, when she came of age and was ready to do it, sang her father's songs, and wow, he did beside himself with joy. Well, actually, he is beside himself with joy. because of that happen. So, you know, man, I would tell somebody to focus, and, you know, they're going to get there. They'll get there. They'll get there when the time is right. You might not get there tomorrow, you know.
Yes.
You may want to get there this afternoon. You know, but the idea is if you focus and you apply yourself, you will, with God's grace, you'll get there. You'll get there. And there'll be times there's somebody that's 12 years old now, to 10 years from now, they may be, I don't know, in the Super Bowl. They may be playing for the Milwaukee Brewers. You know, there's all kind of ways to achieve your dream, your goal, provided that you focus.
Provided that
you apply yourself.
Mr. Ernie Isley, the great legend of the iconic Isley brothers, we just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to call in and be a part of Fresh Start today. Again, we are looking forward to seeing you all on this weekend. Be safe, be blessed, and we'll be talking soon, my friend.
All right. Thank you so much, Jermaine. Hope to see you backstage.
All right. Sounds great. I
okay,
will.
Man.
Thank
Take
you.
good care.
Bye. You are listening to Jermaine Reed, host of Fresh Start Today. We just had a great conversation with our friend, music legend, Mr. Ernie Isley, who will be with us on this weekend at a private benefit concert that's supporting Fresh Start Family Services and Black Child Development Institute. I believe we have caller number 10 on the phone. Caller number 10. How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, doing great. Congratulations on winning 2 tickets to the benefit concert, the Royal Masquerade Ball this weekend. So we will have the engineer get all your information and let you know how you can get your tickets. But thank you for tuning into Fresh Start today. All right.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
So Mr. Isley had talked about some things that children and young people can do, as well as parents, to really identify and develop the talents of their children. I don't know what you think, Mr. Ellis, but I believe that all children have gifts and talents.
Well, the first thing I tell you, if you have a child that really likes to read a whole lot, if you have a child that likes to read a whole lot, that's probably a very gifted child. If you have a child that likes to do a whole lot of math, and just an extra, that's a very gifted child. If you have a child that likes world history, so they can study the maps and the geographic things of the world,
or even athletic,
or athletic. If you have a child that just scares the mess out of you, jumping and diving over stuff that you would break your natural born mind trying to do.
Yeah.
But we got to pay attention.
Parents have to pay attention. Do you think there's some barriers? Now, the world has changed. I'm sure from the time that Aretha Franklin was growing up, Jimi Hendrix and Sam Cooke and all of these great soul legends, the world looks different then. So, there's social media. Do you think there are things that are kind of interfering with parenting?
Well,
the world is moving fast.
In some ways, what they did was notice what parenting wasn't doing and then put it on the social media and took advantage of it and made money off of it. Parents really should be doing what social media is doing. All of us should be managing our children's lives one way or another.
I like the way you said we should be managing our children's lives.
We should be playing a role in them. And nowadays you have to talk to the young people. I hear the young people's voice. Too often we tell them to shut up. And then they are back there crying and making uncomfortable sounds when if we listen to them, the singing might be prettier than we know. The dance just may be on beat, or even if it's offbeat a little bit, it might be still entertaining enough that you don't have to be a dancer to become famous for dancing and acting.
But parents have to be engaged, have to be attentive. They have to manage their children's lives. They have to create those opportunities, those spaces for those talents to be developed. Whether that's enrolling them in a dance class at Fred Astaire, whether that's connecting with Andre Lee Ellis in company, whether it's at First Stage, piano lessons, saxophone lessons, drum lessons. It takes parents need to do that, and sometimes we can't afford it, but there are people in the church community that can play instruments, getting our children connected and involved, because I'm not sure if these legendary R&B artists, if their parents knew that one day Aretha Franklin would be the great Aretha Franklin, that Whitney Houston would be the great...
I think we should not tell our children that affording it is your option.
Okay.
Your only option. I think we should tell our children, what do you do when you can't afford it? And what is your next best option to that? Because it may be learning how to make your own drumsticks off of the wood, the bark from the tree outside. Wow. And you create that. Learning how to take the trunk of a tree and create your own drum.
Well, no, because even play looks different.
Or your art canvas,
I got
or something like that. But it's not about affording.
It's not about money.
It's about discipline.
But it's also a certain element of creativity that I think, because of video games and social media and the way the world has changed, that we don't know how to play anymore. You know, we used to go outside and we would create a go-kart, we'd take the wheels off a garbage can, and we just did some things, you know, just to entertain ourselves. It was a different type of play.
If it take too long, somebody else gonna make the money.
Listen, this is gonna conclude. This is gonna conclude our episode of Fresh Start today.
We're done. If it take too long, that's how we gonna end.
Look,
if it take too long, somebody else gonna make the money. That ain't a bad one, and I ain't gonna charge you for that, Jermaine.
Listen, thank you all for listening to Fresh Start today. Again, it was a pleasure having Mr. Andre Lee Ellis in the studio with us. He has to come back. He gave some wise advice, as did Mr. Ernie Isley from the Isley Brothers, that young people need to be focused and goal-oriented. Don't get distracted with foolishness. So you all have a blessed, safe week. We'll be back on next week. Fresh Start today from 3 to 5 p.m. on next week. Have a great one. Thanks a lot, my friend.